8544.
What's cooking today? The nation's food, wine, restaurant, and travel program, our weekend edition. Michael Horn along with Paul Stern. Coming up now on the show, we got another great series on CBS. I should say it's a news program called 48 Hours Mystery. And it's on Saturday night. I was at the Upfront Sweeps here and recently, and at the Upfronts, they always tell you all the new shows and stuff. Nobody does anything on Saturday nights except for good old CBS, good original programming. And this is the 48 Hours Mystery put out by CBS News. Maureen Marr is here with us, and welcome, Maureen, to the broadcast.
Hi.
Tell us about this episode coming up entitled One of Their Own. You, of course, have been with CBS News for how long now?
I've been with CBS News for 12 years, and I've been with 48 for 7.
Wow. All right.
Long time.
Love this show. You guys get to spend some time to really dig into this. What is this all about, this installment called One of Their Own?
Well, this is a cold case, and, as interesting and popular as our shows like CSI have been on when it comes to entertainment side of it, for 48 hours, the world of cold cases has really brought a new dimension to our coverage of news, because the advent of DNA technology has brought tons of cases, dozens and dozens of cases that have been sitting on shelves in warehouses and who have been at the back of the desk and the bottom of the pile for many, many years, are now being brought back up because they have new evidence that they feel they can go back to. What makes this one interesting is it was about 25 years ago in Los Angeles. A 29-year-old woman is murdered. Her name is Sherry Rasmussen. She's found by her husband. She's been beaten and shot to death. And it looks like a burglary gone bad because there are a couple of pieces of stereo equipment stacked up next to the door. But nothing else from the house is taken other than her car and her marriage license, which seem like pretty odd things to take.
That's weird, yeah.
Yeah, very strange. I mean, they didn't take the stereo equipment. They didn't take the china. They didn't take anything other than the car and the marriage license.
Marriage license.
So, as it usually happens, detectives get there, or homicide cops on the scene, and they start asking family and friends, and the husband in this case, did you know anyone who would want to do this to your wife? Did she have any enemies? And he said, she didn't have any enemies, but we were having a problem with my ex-girlfriend. Now, this couple was newly married, and in the weeks leading up to their marriage and shortly after the wedding, his ex-girlfriend had been stalking his new wife. And stalking is kind of a new term that we use in our modern vernacular. It's not really something that they pursued back then. And certainly in L.A. at this time, it was the height of violent crime. So it was never reported, but the ex-girlfriend was showing up at the office, and she was showing up at the house, and she was following her to the gym, et cetera, et cetera. There was never any threat.
In 1986 this took place, and this Sherry Rasmussen, the murder victim, was a nurse at Glendale Adventist Medical Center. So different times, correct?
Yes, very different times, because there weren't even really stalking laws on the books at that time, not the kind that we have now, that you could go to the cops and say, I need a restraining order because somebody's following me or harassing me. Back then, you basically had to be dead before they would do anything. And it's not casting aspersion on the cops. It's just that there was so much violent crime, they just didn't really deal with that kind of crime at the time. So the cops say, do you know anyone who would want to do this? He says, well, you might want to check out my ex-girlfriend. And the family adamantly told the cops, you've got to check out his ex-girlfriend. Well, it turns out his ex-girlfriend was an LAPD beat cop at the time.
Whoa.
And no one ever checked her out. They didn't question her. They didn't look for an alibi, nothing. For 20 years, nothing happened with this case. No matter how often and how long and how hard the family pressed that they should be looking at this ex-girlfriend, no one ever questioned her. So that's really where we pick up the case as we sort of give you a little backstory, and we speak to the parents who's in the last 25 years of their life have been devoted to this, as you can imagine. They haven't been able to move forward or get closure. And a cold case investigator calls them out of the blue in 2008 and says, I know they always thought that it was 2 male burglars who killed your daughter, but we just did a DNA test on a swab that was found that had been taken at the time of the crime. and it's come up female. Do you happen to know any females? And the father starts crying. You know, the 70-something-year-old retired dentist starts crying and says, I've been trying for 20 years to get you people to listen to me. Yes, I know a female.
Oh, my.
And that's really where we go. We go with how they have to serendipitously obtain DNA from the cop. She's now a highly decorated police officer in Los Angeles. She has not a blip on her record of violent behavior. Nothing at all. She's a mother of a 3-year-old. She's married to another highly decorated cop. It's just, and people are shocked, sends shockwaves through LAPD.
Whoa. Maureen Marr, this is going to be an incredible 48 hours. This is Saturday night. You're on at the regular time. Is it 10 o'clock Eastern Pacific time?
10 o'clock Eastern, yes. And
how long were you working? How long did you work on this particular installment here, 48 hours?
Our group's been working on this one for about 6 or 7 months, but prior to that, I really have to give due to 2 investigative reporters at the Los Angeles Times, Andrew Blankstein and Joel Rubin. They're the ones that broke the story. They're beat cop reporters out in L.A., and they have such good relationships with the upper echelon of LAPD.
Maureen will be watching Saturday night, and we're going to be looking forward to it. 48 hours.
You order a glass of your favorite Cabernet, fresh asparagus,